one of the rare times that the band can actually agree on something so wholly. Like, was this guy's design work.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Kaan, thank you so much for your time today. And I mean, before we started recording, you were joking that, you know what, I'm a bit of a Trekkie anyway, so I don't mind people yelling my name at me. Are you a Trekkie because of your name, or were you a Trekkie regardless?
No. I was Trekkie because of Next Generation more than anything, and then from there then came obviously Kaan, but it's spelled different. This is the Turkish spelling of it, but you know, it's long-time sci-fi fan, if you can't tell with other stuff.
Well, I mean, and also people that follow you know from your Instagram feed that there's a little bit of Star Trek in there as well. So we're here obviously to talk about the album coming out. This Place Only Brings Death out September 22nd, which is only 2 weeks away, really.
That is true.
This point.
Yes.
As we're recording. But be honest with me, 2 days later, it's Tottenham versus Arsenal. What are you more excited or nervous about?
Tottenham Arsenal. I mean, completely honest. I've been listening to the album for months.
There you go. It's all news for you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's
awesome.
going to be a big game. But it's exciting all round. September's going to be a busy month. So
I mean, Premier League has only started, you know, a few weeks ago, but so far it's a pretty decent start for Hotspur.
No complaints.
How do you feel?
You know, I'm feeling good. You know, like we have a history of, you know, starting very well and then bottling it as it comes. So, you know, I'm just rolling with the punches, enjoying it whilst it's still good, and then just waiting for things to collapse, you know. So, yeah, it's all good.
Now, in all seriousness, obviously, we're here to talk about the album and everything that's going on with Heart of a Coward, not so much about football. Tomorrow, I think you guys are playing the Burn It Down Festival.
That is
That's going to be a sweaty ordeal, given the state of UK right now.
A sweaty, rowdy mess. Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be sweaty full stop because we're in the middle of a heat wave. But also, it's like I think it's like a 1,500,000 cap kind of venue sort of thing. So yeah, should be good. You know, we're playing out some new songs, playing with like a bunch of UK bands, like, and a few internationals and stuff. So yeah, it should be a nice kind of get together on the south coast. And it should be a good laugh. We just got one hell of a drive to get there first. But you know, but it should be fun. It should be a good laugh.
Is this show, I mean, I know that you've played many shows, and the new Heart of a Coward has been kind of in the works for some time. There have been some key changes in the lineup. The sound has evolved a little bit as well. But when we look back in a few years from now, is this show, which is really like maybe the first proper, like, hey, this is the new album, the new sound, the new band, is this like the Heart of a Coward 2.0 reset kind of thing? Is this going to be an important show in the history of the band?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we've had we did Radar Festival in July as well, and that was like the first real real like big show of this campaign, if you see what I mean. Like, because we kind of did a few before, like we did Bloodstock main stage last year, but we hadn't even recorded the album then, sort of thing, you know. So it's kind of like, but now we're like releasing music, kind of doing all that sort of thing. So it you know, Radar in Manchester was amazing, and absolutely, it was just a chaos show. And yeah, so Burn It Down, I'm hoping for a similar sort of thing. But yeah, this is definitely you put it really well, like Heart of a Coward 2.0. You know, like we've kind of again, there's been some key changes within the band, but also, you know, we're very much focused on not repeating ourselves to an extent. You know, it's about leaning on what was before, but also kind of pushing it to new areas and trying to create something new, but still within our kind of sound.
Now, you've mentioned in other interviews already that, you know, with Dan coming on board as a new guitar player and his fondness for all things electronic, that he's been one of the fuels, if you will, of some new sound in the band as well. With those changes that you've mentioned, and yes, you said like, you know, lean to some extent on what has happened in the past for sure. Does that mean that when we see you guys live now, that the classic songs are also evolving? Like, are they different today live than we would have seen them a few years ago?
Well, I mean, well, yeah, I'm singing them, so they're going to be a little bit different in that sense. No, so like, yeah, we've kind of played with them a little bit in terms of like adding a few just things to like enhance the live show a little bit, like, you know, either a little intro or like something to it, but we haven't messed with them like too much. They're still very much the same song, but you know, Dan's creative output is like 4 times what the band was before, you know, so it's kind of like if he's not messing around on guitar, he's doing something with like his analog synths. If he's not doing that, he's got like a drum pattern or something. He's just like this hyper creative dude, and he's really helped like spark a whole new like creative drive within the band, and it's something that everyone's just, you know, open to, just welcomed it, and we're just rolling with it, and now we have a absolute banging album. So very happy.
With all these changes, I mean, Heart of a Coward never really fit in a specific box to begin with, but and now even more so. And what's cool to see in the scene right now, not just in bands branded metalcore, but just across the board, you see that there's a lot of positive reaction in the scene right now, especially of a newer generation of fans of bands that just don't fit in a specific, you know, predefined box, and that are, you know, not afraid to try new things. Do you see that as well? I mean, I know that you've only played like the one bigger show and a couple of small things, but when you know, release singles and so on, can people that have been in the band for a longer time see a difference as well in how the audience is changing? Yeah, sure, for sure. Like, it's you know, you're always gonna like get people that are like die hard. They want you to just make the same album that you did 10 years ago and stuff, you know, like that's always going to be the way, but that's the album that they connected with. So you can understand it as a music fan. Like, I get that, I totally get it, but ultimately, the band's like moved on. It's been a long time since those days, you know, like but like the kind of reaction from, you know, new people, like from across our music videos and all that sort of stuff, and just playing live, like, you know, people that just stumble into the room, or they're there to see a different band and then they hear something, you know, like the general reaction has been great, you know, and it's been so positive that, you know, any of the kind of negative internet troll stuff is just kind of like whatever, because it's just so minimal now, which is great, you know, because it's kind of been a bit of a process for us to kind of find our feet and find the sound, but now I do definitely feel we're in a way better and stronger place, not just creatively, but as a unit as well, you know. You know what? For every person that's going to watch you like this in the back, there will be, you know, 10 jumping around in front of the stage, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good, you know. People can enjoy music however they want, you know. If they're at a live show, they can cross their arms and just enjoy it. As long as there's not people walking out of the room, I'm all good. Like,
yeah.
You know.
When we look at the themes you guys talk about on this record, and some of the songs, like, there's a lot of reflection going on clearly, and it seems that almost every song can be interpreted in a very dual way. You could find a very personal story in there, but you can also, you know, interpret the same sentences as, you know, looking at society in a broader way. Is that true to some extent?
Yeah, absolutely intentional. Like, I try to write. I did an interview before, and the guy was like, "Oh, like Shrek." I was like, "I try and write with layers," and he was like, and I was kind of like, "Yeah, okay, cool, like Shrek." Yeah.
Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it. We both have layers.
Yeah, like, I try and, you know, so you can take it like, this place only brings death. You could just take that as the words. It's quite a bleak outlook, but then, you know, when you kind of drill into that concept and that idea, it's just a reflection on life. Like, there's nothing more certain than that your life will end, and it's kind of like your existence brings death, like your existence brings the end, and it's just like reflecting on that. What does that mean? There's, you know, there's pain within that, but there's also beauty, there's life, there's, you know, all of these things. Enjoy your life. It's so scarce and so short. Like, enjoy your time that you have. You know, that's kind of like where it all ended up going. But it definitely came from a darker place first. And it just had to find the kind of find the poetry and find the kind of creative writing side of it within those kind of darker times, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I, you know, when you know, people like myself get all the promo mailers sent up front, and, you know, well, here's the new album, take a look at it, and this is how we think it's going to sound. You know, there's a lot of emphasis on that, coming from a dark place. But when I was listening to the album, I didn't think at all that it was a very dark album, because I thought it was there was always, like, you know, light at the end of the tunnel, or there was maybe a silver lining, if you will, and it, to me, it kind of came across as one of those, like, you know, you can only have darkness with the light, or you can only have light if there's darkness, you know, kind of balance.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was very much like, you know, it started in a very dark, bad place, you know, like, as in all of the ideas and stuff I was writing was either during the pandemic or kind of coming out of that sort of time. And essentially I just chuck notes in my phone, you know, and then come back to them and try and, like, build stuff from that. And then, you know, when you kind of look back and you kind of dive into, like, what was I thinking then? And it could be months, 6 months, a year later, you know, but you like what you've written, and you kind of trying to pull these things out and then build it from there. And ultimately, you take it from a dark place, but you try and build it into something that is relatable, that people, you know, so there is ultimately a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But that's the whole theme of the album. Like, it's about life as a cycle. Like, there's, you know, I wanted it to be like, you know, it's just a constant loop. Like the final, like, outro interlude is like about meeting, saying goodbye to a friend that you've already met before, but you're saying goodbye to them again. You know, it's kind of like, it's just this whole cycle of, like, you know, the snake that eats its tail. It's like life, death. It's just a cycle.
Is that also to some extent, like, quote unquote, the way that you write? Because I get to talk to often people that do interviews are people that are somehow involved in lyrics, and it's a theme that comes back. And, you know, Dave Winder of Monster Magnet, for example, you know, once said, I'll start writing a song about, like, everything is going to hell, and at the end of the song, I rule the world, because it's just like the process of creating and writing makes him feel empowered, and eventually that comes out. And there's always, like, these journeys, and it's almost impossible for him to end on a bleak note, if you will. Do you have that to some extent as well?
Yeah, I think so. Like, you know, because it's like, it's not, the way I write isn't just like, it's that current feeling and then that's it, and it's time stamped, it's recorded, and it's done. You know, it's a very long process. Like, I'm very open with the guys when it comes to, like, the melodies, rhythms, and the kind of that sort of part of it. But when it comes to the lyrics, I take my time with it. You know, I really drill in, I try and figure things out, and, you know, refine and change. So ultimately, like, for me, it can always, wherever it starts is never where it ends, if you see what I mean. Like, it goes on such a different journey, and ultimately, when it's like that, I guess you do, and when you give it that time, and it's not just such a raw emotion, that it does end up kind of turning itself around, or something along those lines. Or it does with me anyway. You know, I just can't keep it, like, solely, you know, dark in that sense.
Another thing that can be looked at in many different ways and interpreted in different ways is the cover art, and just the way that everything looks, and which I think really came out as a masterclass of sleek design. I love the lettering and the colors used and whatever, and I think it's great that you guys clearly, you know, took your time with that. It kind of reminded me a little bit, and I know that you're a fan of this album, Diamond Eyes of Deftones. Had, like, a similar vibe to it, I found.
For sure.
Is there, like, were you behind the thought process of this cover art? Did Deftones inspire you in some way? I mean,
Deftones inspired everything I do in any way. So I mean, I guess so. Like, as in, it wasn't like Diamond Eyes was like a specific artwork that we had referenced or whatever. But now I think about it, but like the sleekness and the clean lettering and stuff does definitely lean in that sense. But the main what we did this time round with this album was like was having more of like a visual concept to it, you know, like as in what we wanted to do. And ultimately the way we decided to do that was to, as soon as we had demos and we were ready for the studio, was to reach out to artists and try and get some sort of visual representation for where we wanted to go for the album, right? So we I can't remember the dude's second name, but it's an incredible French designer that we found on Instagram, a guy called Remy something. His all his details will be in the album sleeve, obviously, but he was like a guy that, one of the rare times that the band can actually agree on something so wholly, like was this guy's design work. So we were like, okay, cool. Sent him a bunch of the tracks, sent him lyrics, rough, because we had like 3 or 4 titles at the time for the album.
Okay.
He kind of sent them back, and just basically we came across this figure, and This Place Only Brings Death was one of the titles within like the what we were considering, and he came back with this kind of cloaked figure, and everyone was like, oh, it's cloaked, and he was like, yeah, it is, but it's also, if someone's dead and they're covered, you know, like it's like the I don't know what you call it, like like as in they've got like the cloth over them when they pass, sort of thing. And it was like, oh, that's actually super cool. And then he sent a few different colorways, but the whole black and red thing it just worked. It looked amazing. You know, and it's just like it's a classic metal sort of look in that sense. And yeah, we just rolled with it, refined it with him. And then before the album was even recorded, we had this artwork planned, all the single artworks, you know, all done when we were decided on that. And it was like, cool, we're leading with this kind of red and black vibe with clean, with like a certain clean element, clean lettering to it and stuff. And it just fed into the music videos, fed into the merch, you know, like it all just kind of brought everything together. And so in going back to your question, we didn't really lead on the creative side for that, but ultimately like just let the artist do his thing, and then kind of tweaked it to just make sure that we liked it, you know.
We're gonna see that merch, and we're gonna see probably really big versions of that artwork when you're going on tour, and you've got a pretty crazy European tour planned end of September and October. What can we expect from that?
Well, we're going across Europe and the UK with a Danish band called Ghost Iris and a UK band called The City Is Ours. What to expect? Sweaty, rowdy shows. You know, it's going to be a good laugh. Like, it's 2 bands that we've kind of known about, been friends with, you know, for a while, but it's been nice to actually pull something together to actually be able to go out and put a tour together. But yeah, just excited to kind of get out, see how things are again, because it's been a long time since Heart of a Coward's managed to actually tour. So you know, it's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, we're gonna be playing some new songs, kind of getting it out there, playing the old classics. But yeah, just expect sweaty, rowdy shows, because that's what we tend to do.
All right, so bring a towel and deodorant, everyone.
And change a shirt.
Exactly. Well, buy a new shirt. There you go. Awesome. Well, Kaan, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun talking to you. Exciting new album coming out, and I'm super excited for you to first release the album, and then hopefully Tottenham can beat Arsenal, and then your weekend will be complete.
And then that would be fantastic. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much for your time.
Nice one, Jasper. Thanks a lot, bro.
Every breath is just another step closer to the grave. You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it, and subscribe to the channel.